Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first National Boot Camp created by the National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium, or NLSVCC for short. The name and acronym trip us up sometimes, so Angela Drake, our intrepid leader, may close out the day with a renaming contest, so be thinking about that as you listen today. We are putting a corrected final program on the website along with some materials to accompany the presentations today, and that is nlsvcc.org. We have been amazed at the response to this event, and at last count, we had hundreds of students, clinicians, and attorneys joining us from all over the country. But our success is not dependent on the number of people who join this webinar today. We will have been successful if advocates, both new and experienced, are better prepared to help our country's military veterans navigate an, at times, devastatingly confusing system. So we are very fortunate to be learning from leading experts in VA benefits and appeals and military discharge upgrade. This is truly one of those good outcomes from unsettling pandemic circumstances because we were inspired by distance to connect with all of you. We have much to cover, and as is typical with days like these, very little time. So please take breaks as needed. We will be breaking on our end only a couple of times for technology. My name is Hillary Wandler. I am a professor and director of the Veterans Advocacy Clinic at the School of Law in Missoula, Montana, University of Montana. And so just wanted to give a shout out to my students who are joining from all over Montana and beyond, actually. And now I will turn it over to Chantal Wentworth-Mullin, who is going to introduce the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, Judge Bartley.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantal Wentworth-Mullin. I'm the managing director at Syracuse University at our Veterans Legal Clinic. I am absolutely honored to be here to introduce our Chief Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, Judge Margaret Bartley. As you will learn today, the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims is the Article I court that has exclusive national jurisdiction to provide independent federal judicial oversight and review of final decisions from the Board of Veterans Appeals. Chief Judge Bartley was nominated to the court by President Barack Obama in 2011 and confirmed in 2012. She is the 16th nominated judge to the court since its establishment in 1988 and became the Chief Judge in 2019. The Chief Judge has spent over 25 years serving veterans, with NVLSP as senior counsel and also co-authoring and co-editing our beloved Veterans Benefits Manual, by which we live here at Syracuse, the director of the Pro Bono Consortium's Outreach and Education Program, and also as a judicial law clerk at this same court. We are so very lucky to have her as our Chief Judge, and couldn't be more humbled to have her here today. So to you, Judge.
It's just an absolute pleasure to join you on your first day of boot camp here, or I guess it's your only day. But I just want to start off by thanking the Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium for the invitation to kick the program off, and especially to Angela Drake, who extended the invitation to me. I, like Chantal just said, I am the one who's honored to be able to do this. And I just have a few minutes here, and I don't want to drone on and on. So I wanted to kind of divide up my time into three sections. First, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on myself, in addition to what Chantal just said, especially since my background links in a lot in a unique way with yours. And then I want to move on to just some more information about the court, in addition to what Chantal just said. And I also want to then give you my thoughts about why you're lucky to be having this experience, and particularly just focus on a few of the issues that you might be dealing with. So my background does link up with yours, as I said, because this is not in my bio, but I was in the first and only Veterans Law School Clinic. This was in the fall of 1991 and the summer of 1992 at Washington College of Law at American University. And I was in a class of, I think it was less than 12. I can't really remember the number, so it was not a big clinic class. Definitely not over 12. So it's amazing to me to see now that, you know, over 300 students are gathered here today. It's an incredible step forward. But at any rate, I did 2 cases while I was with that Veterans Law Clinic in law school. I handled an appeal at the Board of Veterans Appeals, and I handled an appeal at the court, the court that I'm currently on. And especially the board case sticks with me, actually more, because I participated in a Board of Veterans Appeals hearing. And along with my co-counsel, another law student, we prepped the veteran for the hearing and elicited additional information. He was seeking an increased evaluation for PTSD. And so we were eliciting information about why he would be entitled to that increase. And as it turned out, I was successful in both cases, me and my co-counsel, I should say. That was, I don't know if there was a point in time when it hit me that I don't think there was a specific point in time when it hit me that, you know, I wanted to do this, but it was more like a gradual understanding as I went through the process that, hey, I really like doing this stuff. And I like helping veterans out with their claims. And, you know, there are a lot of lawyers who don't really like what they do. I mean, you may know some of them may be your friends or your family members or people that you've just heard of. Don't really appreciate it. They move into other fields of practice. They move into, you know, they become social workers or writers or things like that because they just don't like it. I feel like I'm really lucky that I did right off the bat kind of enjoy doing this area of law. And not only is it enjoyable, but it's very worthwhile in that we're helping people who serve the country and who really need our help. Many of whom are, or I say the vast proportion of whom are very unskilled and unable to navigate the system themselves. So anyway, that was a great experience, and I am hoping that a lot of you will have the same experience. After that, as was said, I did clerk at the Veterans Court and then spent my entire career before the court with NVLSP. Basically not doing a lot of litigation, although some, but basically training service officers who are helping veterans down at the various VA regional offices. So you can read, you know, obviously read some of the other details of my career in my bio, but I just wanted to point out the law school Veterans Law Clinic experience that I did have. Now, to move on to some information about the Veterans Court, the Veterans Judicial Review Act, which established the court, was passed in 1988, and the court opened its doors in 1989. And finally, at that point, veterans had the opportunity to appeal their decisions to a court that was independent from VA. And so they could get the same assistance, litigation, lawyers working in the system that civilians have had all along in so many different areas of the law. This was only extended to veterans and veterans benefits in 1989 when the court did open its doors. So right now we have 9 judges serving 15-year terms. and we generally receive appeals. The Board of Veterans Appeals now is issuing, I think, about 95,000 board decisions every year, between 90 and 95,000. And the court usually gets about 8 to 10% of those as appeals in our court. And so this year we probably will have, maybe a little over 9,000 appeals that were filed within the last fiscal year. So even though it's kind of it's a small slice of the, literally millions of veterans claims that are out there in the system, it's generally the slice of cases that are a little more legally interesting, and cases where there's perhaps no clear law on some of these areas yet. So that's the kind of case that we see. And I hope that some of you, I know that some of the clinics are doing various things with veterans law, but I hope that some of you are doing cases at the Veterans Court. I believe that you are. And I think it's a great opportunity, and I would be happy to see law students, more law students in our court. So just to give you a heads up, right now we are dealing with a number of cases that involve the new procedures, the Appeals Modernization Act, that became effective about a year and a half ago. And we have 2 cases that are going to be panel decisions. That means precedent 3-judge decisions on these issues. So that's something that the clinics that are practicing at the court, that is an area that the judges are looking forward to interpreting the law and kind of sorting out what the process should be, where there are some questions about its application. So that's pretty exciting, that there's this whole new area of veterans benefits law, basically how to apply the Appeals Modernization Act. So moving on to why I think you're lucky. Look, you have the opportunity to work on issues that I think will have some personal resonance with you, and I think that's why the field appeals to me, and appealed to me to begin with, and continues to appeal to me. And that is, you're pointing out things like, why a medical examination is faulty. You might really be doing that. You might be studying the words that a doctor said and pointing out why what she or he said is inaccurate or insufficient. That's personally interesting because, of course, if you've ever looked at one of your family members' medical reports, you know that sometimes there's inaccuracies that get in, or there's a history that just doesn't make sense, but it might be because your family member didn't explain things well, or it might be because your doctor didn't, the doctor didn't really get everything that the person was saying. So you're going to be making those kinds of arguments that I feel do have some, as I said, resonance. It's kind of like pure legal heaven if you like to argue, because you might be in a position of pointing out or making an argument about why a doctor's medical opinion is internally inconsistent, or inconsistent with some of the medical evidence that's of record. And this requires you to, do some medical research. Hey, we all like to do that now that it's so easily accessible. When I first started in veterans law, it was not easily accessible, but at any rate, we can all do that now. And some of us like to do that kind of thing. So you'll be able to do that. Some of the issues, I'll mention one other issue that I think does have some appeal to a lot of people. Something like explaining why a veteran's statement, maybe she made a statement 15 years ago and then she made one again 2 years ago, why these 2 statements are not inconsistent. There might be reasons why a veteran said a particular thing a particular way 15 years ago and then said it a different way 2 years ago. And so you're going to be able to, those kinds of, you might be helping a veteran write a statement explaining the seeming inconsistencies between those two documents. Now that's something that lawyers, I think it's something that you can kind of like get your teeth into, you know, and I hope that you do have the experience of doing some of those things. But let me end by saying that another reason I think that you're really lucky to have this experience is that you're really working with the lionesses and lions in the field of veterans law. You have Angela Drake, who's running this consortium now and has run a clinic for many years. You have Stacey Ray Simcox, who was one of the founders of the consortium. You have Hillary Wandler, who our former chief judge, Robert Davis, spoke so highly of. I've never met Hillary, but I see that he's correct just from listening to her. Margaret Costello, who for many years was really one of the first people who started this veterans law clinics way back when, and has run the Detroit Mercy Clinic and really done an amazing job reaching out to veterans in the Detroit area for many years. You have a lot of people who are, former co-workers of mine, Professor Katie Schumann, who works at Baltimore, and you have Jillian Bernier, who is involved in the consortium and who also clerked at the Veterans Court. And so I'm leaving out a lot of people, but I just say, these are the people who are kind of movers and shakers in the world of veterans law, and it's just going to be a fantastic experience for you to learn from them, I think. And so, at any rate, I think it'll be a great experience for you, and I'm excited to see that this boot camp is happening and that clinics are expanding. So on behalf of all the judges of the Veterans Court, thank you for getting involved and making sure that veterans receive legal representation. And I appreciate the chance to talk to you. And I hope you guys have a great day learning from everyone.